Checking in with 35th District Representative Drew McEwen. And good morning, Drew. How you doing?
Good morning, Jeff. I'm well, thank you.
Good to hear from you as we are moving into special session, couple days in, and you're one of the keys here to this special session coming to an end as one of the budget negotiators. So tell me a little bit about what's happening now, what you've done to meet with counterparts in the Senate, and how do things look moving forward?
When you go into special session, there's a little bit of logistics that have to happen first, and one of it is kind of resetting everything. Bills that did not pass all the way through get returned to the highest level that they had achieved. And so there's, frankly, a little bit of paperwork shuffling that has to happen. And next week, Tuesday, we'll actually be taking a number of floor votes on things we've already voted on to return those back to the Senate. And so there's actually about a week and a half worth of bureaucracy to put the session into full motion. Having said that, though, as far as the budget negotiations, those aren't talking isn't contingent upon the status of those other things. So, kind of where we're at the moment is a little bit of a stalemate, frankly, and it has to do with the House Majority Leadership and the Senate Majority Leadership, and that'd be the Speaker of the House, Frank Chopp, who leads the House Democrat Caucus, and then in the Senate, Senator Mark Schessler, who leads the Republican Caucus in the Senate. And I'm not privy to what goes on between those two, but suffice to say, there's a little bit of a log jam that's between those two that has kind of put everything else in a halt, and so discussions per se have not been have not occurred as of yet. I think after we get everybody there next week and do the votes that we need to do, as I mentioned before, to get bills to return to their status. That'll hopefully prompt some action to occur and really start some serious negotiations.
Do these bills have to be implemented for the budget to move forward, or was that taken care of at the end of the regular session?
Some may have been, and then there's a number of them that aren't. And so what happens now, there's two statuses that come into play. One is called NTIB, necessary to implement the budget. And those are generally policy bills that have fiscal notes to them that direct specific spending for a certain policy area, and those bills are needed to make the budget work once a budget is adopted. So those have to be passed. They don't have to be before or after the budget. They just have to be before the new budget goes into effect. And then you have what are called NTPB, and that's necessary to pass the budget. And what does that mean? That means, frankly, you need somebody's vote for the budget, and so they've got a specific bill that they really want that's not related to the budget necessarily, and that bill's brought to a vote in order to garner their support for an overall budget. And those come into play, and those can be happening at any time, and it just depends on who's trying to be persuaded. Those are generally bills that are in the majority party of either chamber to bring people on board with a budget that they might not otherwise have been fully on board with.
Once the speakers of both houses there, the House and the Senate, come to some sort of a working agreement, how fast do you think that this could get taken care of?
Well, I'm always an optimistic person, and I firmly believe that the vast majority of the budget, we can get a pretty decent agreement on. There are some key points and key differences, though, and to be fair to on both sides, and I think criticism is due to both parties and both chambers. In the Senate, they passed a budget that, frankly, they made some wrong assumptions on the numbers, and that didn't come out in the wash until later on. And that's about $1 billion wrong assumption that was made. That needs to be fixed. And then on the House budget, they passed a budget that relies on a number of taxes that they have not brought to a vote. And so they have an unbalanced budget that's, depending on which numbers you look at, that's in the neighborhood of $4 billion. So, first of all, I think both sides need to get their own ducks in a row with with their respective budgets and have them truly be balanced. And I think to really get this logjam broken, it's going to take both sides eating their own poison pill, so to speak, and moving forward to get their respective budgets balanced. We're to negotiate on two budgets that aren't even logistically implementable because they don't balance out. It's tough to negotiate on something that doesn't work to move things forward.
So we're at a 30-day special session here, and we're just 2 days in. So we're hopeful that by next week the lawmakers So are you going to be in Olympia? You're kind of in Olympia ongoing currently during this negotiation, and then when there's votes, that's when everybody else comes in?
I'm there when there's talks to be had, so I'll be there more than some others. But it's one of these things where right now both sides are kind of just going back to their own drawing boards, and what movement can we make to get the other side to to maybe meet us part way on a specific line item or whatever the case may be. And so that is happening behind the scenes. A lot of things happen and can happen without us actually physically being there. Mm-hmm. But once we have something where we can legitimately sit down together, that brings us in. So, in special session, it's frustrating. Not only to the public, but also to the members and to the staff. And I mean, none of us want to do it. And as I mentioned last week, to get away from this routine, we've got to make fundamental reforms in the way we do session. And that's something I'm going to really work on for next year. And part of that is moving up the various cutoff dates that we have during session. I think I say this metaphorically, we spend a lot of time debating between paper and plastic and leave ourselves with 2 weeks to do a budget. It's absurd to think that you can get a $40 billion budget agreed to with 147 people in a 2-week period.
Yeah. Wow. Well, we do appreciate you doing the people's work there in Olympia, and keep us updated as we move through this special session. And Drew McEwen, a new inside look at kind of how this is working. It seems like it's really opened your eyes up about this whole process.
Yep, like I said, we got to make some changes.
Very nice. All right, 35th District Representative Drew McEwen, good talking with you. We'll talk again next week.
Sounds good, Jeff. Thanks.